Welcome in, everybody, to another live edition of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin, and we're looking forward to hanging out with you guys tonight for a little bit, talking all things Ravens, Baltimore Ravens training camp coming up. Potential preseason moves, all the things above. But the cool thing about this episode, while we're assuming more people will hop in a few minutes, the cool thing about this episode is that it's really an open format for you guys to be able to ask us anything, any of your questions, and you guys to kind of carry the conversation. So as you guys are trickling in, this is an Ask Us Anything episode, obviously within bounds of it being appropriate, right? But like I'm assuming that most of it will have to do with the Ravens. But we're looking forward to this live show being driven by you guys. So we're going to be here talking Ravens, but we're going to be addressing as many of the topics, questions, comments that you guys have. So feel free to load up that chat, and we're looking forward to it. Glenn, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Excited that we're getting, we're one day closer to some exciting dates coming up. If you guys haven't seen on the Ravens website or on their Twitter
I thought you were talking about vacation.
Oh, well, that's exciting too. Yes, we do have a 410 family vacation coming up. But what I was referring to is July 13th, I believe it is, at 10 a.m., the training camp passes become available for fans. It's first come, first serve. And so my man, Don C., always here. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. But guys, make sure if you want to get to training camp, it's first come, first serve. It's free. All you got to do is go on their website July 13th to make sure you claim your spot. You can go one day, multiple days. It's awesome for kids. They got tons of events planned. The one bummer, Jimbo, that I did hear, and I want to start by getting your take on this, Jimbo, because you are, you're certainly into fitness and making sure you take care of your body, and I think you do more than just you're not just the casual guy. You look into things. You like to read up and make sure you're doing right. They've moved all their training camp. Typically last year and all the years prior, they started training camp very early. And in fact, I think fans could get there as early, I think, at 9 a.m. Starting this year, they've moved it back to, I believe, 1 p.m. So they're going to instead be practicing in the afternoon rather than the morning. This is part of the new change that the Ravens have done as a response to last year's injuries. And apparently, whoever in their training, I believe, said that over their research, the body is better. It performs better when it's more awake. And so I kind of wanted your take as the show's fitness expert on that new philosophy.
Well, my concern as far as the time goes is it's going to be the dead heat of the day in the dead of summer.
So you're thinking about us on the sideline is what you're thinking about.
No, I'm thinking about the adverse effects it could have on the players. You're talking about increased risk of dehydration, right? Yeah. And so with dehydration comes a myriad of things, right? So you're talking about cramping, other potential muscular injuries. So I think it's a give and take. That's really interesting to me that they're saying the body works better, if you will, in the afternoon, and maybe that's an opportunity to risk or to decrease injury. But I don't know. I mean, all I would like to say is I just like to simply see the science on it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, but I don't like the afternoon stuff in that, like,
dude, we're going to be baking, dude.
Right. I would hate to be practicing between 1 to 3. I mean, I remember 2-a-days in high school and the afternoon practice was brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal.
It's going to be violently hot, but I will say this about the Ravens. They provide tons of shaded area for their, for the fans, free water, free ice cream, for anyone, not just children. And so, they'll do what they can, I'm sure, to make sure they keep us out of the sun. But shout out to intern Brad Winterling in the chat. Appreciate you coming out, Brad. Appreciate you participating. But yeah, I'm excited nonetheless to go. Also, July 30th, the open practice at the stadium that is followed by a fireworks show. So I'm hoping to attend that as well with my family and check out the nice fireworks afterwards. That's also free to attend.
Now, really quickly, the one thing I'll say is hopefully what they do is maybe they still require the players to come in early and get good stretches in.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know if that's within the league.
I thought you stretch after the workout. Is that what
before and after.
Okay.
Gotta stretch before, dude. Imagine coming in there with muscles that are cold, and then you're doing anabolic exercises.
Yeah,
No,
that's not a good
sir.
idea. Yeah, maybe. Well,
Yeah.
you warm up. You warm up.
Right, but you got to stretch some babies out.
Okay, you'd know better than me, no doubt about it. So
Yeah.
I'll definitely take your advice and your word on this subject. I always just heard the old, you ever seen a lion stretch before he chases down a gazelle? And I don't know, maybe they do. I don't know. I got to catch up on Big Cat Week. But all right, so hey, shout out to Lisa Ann. I think she said her birthday's coming up. Yeah, 5 days before her birthday. So shout
That's
out to Lisa
awesome.
Ann. Happy birthday. Yeah,
And
today I
to that.
think was.
Oh, go
Oh, go
ahead. Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, she said she's still hurting over Goose and Sack Daddy, and I believe, if I remember, I was looking on
Today's the
Twitter.
service for Saragusa.
Yeah, and bunch of Ravens showed up and paid their respects. I think I saw a list that said that Ray Lewis, Steve Bisciotti, Rex Ryan, Shannon Sharp, and a bunch of other NFL legends and former teammates. So,
I
yeah,
know.
paying their respects.
It was sad today because we did a video. Somebody's asking about the wide receivers. We just did a video on the wide receiver room, and I was going
Yeah.
down the Ravens roster, and I typed in Jaylen to find Jaylen Moore's information, and I found Jalen Ferguson still on the roster, and it was like, man. But I tell you what, this is one thing that I liked about some of the photos I saw from Saragusa's service, and I saw a lot of smiles in that. Like, I think that there was a lot of celebrating his life.
A lot
So
of
it's something
stories being told.
yeah, if that's something I tell my wife all the time, like, when I pass, when that day comes, like, just don't be upset about it. Have a big party. Like, just throw a party in my name, enjoy yourselves, and bask in the good memories. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's important,
Yeah. Yeah, well, I can tell you this, Jimbo. There's not going to be a ton of dry eyes at your funeral. But
There might not be a
I'll
ton of
try.
eyes either.
I'll try and lighten
Oh,
things up a
gosh.
little for you. I
So
got
now
you,
you're saying
Jimbo.
I'm going before you, huh?
I actually no, I don't believe that will be the case. But yes, Don C, I am doing much better.
Yes.
I came back from that damn nasty COVID stronger than ever, and so I appreciate you asking. But yeah, I kicked that COVID's ass, even though for a couple of days it was giving me all that I could handle. I got to be honest. It was certainly tough. But yeah, you mentioned the wide receiver room, and we did just record a video that's going to drop later tonight that we will where we do a deep dive into the receivers. But Julian did say who are receivers 4, 5, and 6 this year. To me, without spoiling and going too much into that video, I will say, I think 4. I got to ask you that. I got to ask the people this as well. Is 4 not James Prochet? I mean, is he not? I at least want to put that out there. Is James Prochet not a lock to make this team? Because I mean, what more could you do if you're James Prochet? You talk about a guy who's always there first, always the last to leave, loves football, loves the grind of it, and all the offseason prep that goes into being ready for a season. He's got to be a guy. He's got to be the 4th guy, right, Jimbo?
He has to be. I mean, the Ravens have put themselves in the situation where he has to be. And I'm not knocking the Ravens for doing that. They simply, I think, have faith in him. Right. And unless he dramatically underperforms in preseason or has a crazy injury, yeah, I think he's a lock. And I think he ends up taking a step this year. I think I mentioned it before. I think the receiver that makes the biggest step forward as a receiver is Devin Duvernay, but James Prochet is definitely a lock on this team and will be a contributor. Period.
Yeah.
End of story. What are the chances that our top 3 receivers being Rashad, Duvernay, and I'm putting Tylen in front of James right now, but they're really interchangeable.
That's interesting. See, to me, Prochet is ahead of Wallace, and only reason I had him as 3 is not 4 is because of his recency and the fact that he was a more recent draft pick. But as far as production, I think Prochet is the odds-on favorite to be the 3rd guy, right? I mean, he's
the only reason I thought I think Tylen maybe has a shot to be the 3rd guy. I think they're different. So, like, in comparing them, Tylen is an outside guy for the most part, and I see James, at least in my mind, as more of a slot guy. So with that being said, you kind of pair the 2 up. You pair James and Duvernay up and then you pair up Tylen and Rashad, right? Like, I think that those are kind of the groups that you would segment those 2 in. And so if I'm taking Rashad and I'm taking Duvernay as 1, 2, I feel like my third guy wouldn't be another slot guy because I got Duvernay. It would be Tylen. So it's interchangeable. That's just in my mind, right? But it'll definitely be really interesting to see. But yeah, dude, he's a lock. He's a lock, period.
Both of them, locks, stone cold. Especially after the Hollywood trade. No doubt about it. Let's see. Let's get into some other questions here. I think Lisanne is on to something. I don't think anyone wears Jaylen's number 45 this year, or even in the near future. I don't know if they outright retire. I mean, they haven't really outright retired any number, but there's obviously some numbers we'll never see worn again. But yeah, I don't think if we do see 45 worn again, I don't think it's any time in the very near future.
Actually, one that I was surprised about that maybe I shouldn't be. I was surprised that Hollywood Brown wore 5 even.
Why is that? Because of Flacco?
Yeah, he won the Super Bowl here in number 5, and he had his Super Bowl MVP run and had that incredible run. I know he's not a Hall of Famer, but I was even kind of surprised about that one, to be honest with you. So yeah, there's definitely some untouchable numbers, and I think the 45 right now is going to be there for a while. Let's see if we can name the ones that come to your head. 52, 55, 73, 20,
75,
75.
8, was it 18?
Who?
Johnny U?
8. Well, wasn't Rashad Perriman wearing 18?
Oh, I'm going to get killed.
No, he's 19.
19. I'm tripping.
19. Yeah, 19.
Oh,
what am I missing? 73, I think I already said.
Yeah.
I think 86. I know 86 is out there.
Yeah, 86 has been worn.
Because that's Nick Boyle, right? 86.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think that wraps it up. Yeah. But I mean, it's pretty impressive when you consider how they haven't been around nearly as many years as some of these other teams already have. That many guys that you consider worthy of retirement of their number. Hey, what's going on, Nan? I appreciate you joining us. Yolanda B, always in there repping and supporting us and making sure she's active. I appreciate your
we got some good ones coming in here, Glenn.
All right,
let's see. Who do you guys see being the go-to guy on third down besides Mark Andrews from Pat Manley? This is an interesting one. I'm going to answer this one first. And Rashad Bateman, even though he didn't have a ton of receptions last year, what was his first 6 or 7 catches went for first downs. He seemed to already be able to establish himself as a chain mover. So that's the easy answer. But if I'm not saying Rashad Bateman, I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Devin Duvernay here because I think he has an ability to get open in a short space, maybe when the windows are tight. Now, I don't know how much Lamar is going to be able to depend on his hands. We've seen him drop some slants and things like that in preseason last year, but I'm going to go with Devin Duvernay if I'm not going Rashad Bateman. What about you?
I think it's obvious that Rashad and Mark Andrews are going to get the 2 most targets. That's just how it works in most offenses. The 2 guys get the most, and then there's a pretty decent drop. And certainly in Baltimore, that's shown to be the case. So I think it's those 2 guys. But if you're looking for the Willie Snead, the year he was here, where he caught a bunch of, he didn't have a ton of catches, but the ones he had were tended to be those big time chain movers. I think that James Prochet's got a really good shot at being that guy. I think his
good one. Yeah.
His short area quickness, I think his hands have always been impressive. And I think that he showed last year, he made a couple big time catches in the limited action we saw him that were chain movers. And I think that his expanded role, you're talking about the 3rd or 4th receiver, you're going to get at least, I'd say, an opportunity to get 40 catches. I mean, I think that's a reasonable target for him. And those 40 catches, a lot of those are going to be chain movers, no doubt about it. Because if I'm a defense, I'm going to say, all right, Mark Andrews, you're getting most of my attention. And then right behind him in a close second, it's Rashad Bateman. So Devin Duvernay and James Prochet are oftentimes going to be getting much more favorable matchups than those other guys. And so you got to take advantage of them in this very important 3rd year for both these guys.
100%. Now, the other question I want to address, because it's something that was already urgent, and then of course with the unfortunate passing of Jalen Ferguson, has become more urgent. Not to minimize the fact that I don't want to talk about the position group in that minimizing his passing. That's obviously the most unfortunate thing. But with all that being said, even before that, Do we sign a JPP or a Justin Houston? I think that room alone, the depth of it needs to be addressed. And as crazy as it sounds, depending on the dollar, I mean, it's possible that both of them end up here because we are now in need of more than one person. I mean, the room is just injured and light.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
There's no way around it.
Yeah. I mean, you can get away with it in OTAs and training camp, but in mini camp, but when training camp comes around and you're practicing in the dead of summer in the Baltimore humidity at 1:00 in the afternoon, that, you don't want to risk losing guys because you're overworking them. And so I get that, Justin Houston might be a guy who doesn't necessarily at this point in his career need a training camp. He's a guy that keeps himself in fantastic shape. And he does for the most part. I think he's going to be familiar with this defense, even though it has a new leader in Mike McDonald. I still think you got to add bodies to this group. And I think you got to add quality players because even though we love and expect David Ojabo to turn out to be a hell of a player, he's not going to be ready early. I don't think we can consider Bowser to be a lock to be ready when he tore his Achilles in the last game of the season. So even the guys that we're considering guys that they're going to eventually count on, they ain't going to be ready early. So you're talking Dalen Hayes, Adafe Owe, who, by the way, just put out a video of him that looks like the shoulder, that he was recovering. It looks like it's doing pretty well because he was throwing some weight around using that shoulder, and so that was encouraging. But Dalen Hayes, Adafe Owe, and then you look behind them, and you got, I mean, it's kind of thin here, Jim. You're talking about Jeremiah Moon. Who else? Oh, there it goes. Vince Beagle, who they just picked up, who was a
journeyman at best.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty thin there, Jimbo. So whatever they do, at least they got to get bodies in the building.
Yeah, so it's going to be really interesting to see how they address that for sure.
It's thin there, man. Oh, my goodness. I'm looking at that list now. It's got me sweating over here because holy smokes. They're who's going to be doing all the reps, Jimbo, at outside?
It's a problem.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. So I can't wait to get into that video, by the way, because Brandon Thompson said it. Yeah, that's the room. And what if one of those guys goes down, which is very possible? Man.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough one.
I mean, who the hell? Oh man, this is killing us.
Yeah, for sure. So let's see who else. What other questions we got in here, guys? Keep putting your questions in. This is a Ask Us Anything episode. Okay, Yolanda has one. Will Giro? Yolanda, this is such a loaded question. You got dynamite behind this one. Will Giro properly? She said in parentheses and consistently utilize our wide receivers this season. Yolanda, the way I'm going to answer that question is it's on a matter of perspective, right? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And so it all depends on how you see it. Because to Giro, I mean, everybody self-scouts, and I don't think anybody thinks that they're the perfect coach, but there will most likely be scenarios where you think, where he thinks that the wide receivers are being properly and consistently utilized, and you don't. Right. Mm-hmm. And I get that. It's just a difference of opinion, difference of style, and things like that. And so it all really comes down to your perspective and what your definition of properly utilized is. However, I'll say this, Yolanda, to answer your question. The wide receivers are not and will not be the focal point of this offense. We're not built that way. Obviously, everything revolves around number 8, but then you got a big and good offensive line when healthy. And then you got all-pro tight end and a deep tight end group with a ton of potential. And then certainly you have the running backs back there. So to me, all of those things are bigger cogs in the system that is our offense than the wide receivers. That's just the way that we're built at this time as a franchise. Yeah,
but I will say this, while the targets, I think, will, remain in a spot where, Hollywood got a ton of targets, but I think there's
130.
Yeah, so I don't think there's ever going to be a scenario where the Ravens outthrow some of these pass-happy teams. But I will say, I think with their commitment to the deep passing game, I still think we could see yardage totals that are very comparable at every position on the outside, tight end, Rashad Bateman, Devin Duvernay, and Prochet as well. I think we'll see touchdowns and yardage very comparable, because I think there's going to be opportunities for tons of big plays and chunk plays. While they may not have the quantity, I think the quality will outweigh it. And so, yeah, I'm still I'm still confident.
You've been beating on this drum for a few years now, Glenn. I got to give you credit for this, because it's something that's not said enough. Look, the one thing you can know in this offense is that they got to crowd the box. You have to account for it. And so the one, Yolanda, like if one of these guys is a dog, like if Rashad Bateman is that dude, then we're going to know it, because he's going to have opportunities one-on-one to beat guys, and Lamar's going to put the ball in play. So that is one thing that is an advantage to this offense that other offenses can't claim, right? It's just simply not the case, because teams don't have to pay such respect to the rush attack. And so there will be opportunities for plays to be made, more often than I think a lot of people think.
Yep.
You got one that you want to ask here? There's a lot of good ones in here. I'm interested to know which way you're going.
Well, Don C, I think, brings up a really interesting question. He said, who's the most important player on the Ravens other than Lamar Jackson? Ronnie Stanley's return, I think, is his prediction. He says we have no depth at left tackle. Don C, I 100% agree with you. Outside of Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, it's no doubt about it, it's Ronnie Stanley, because when he's healthy, he's the all-pro. And so, he makes a massive difference in both the passing game and the run game. And most importantly, he allows everyone else to slot in and fit in where they belong, and not where they're just wedged into out of necessity. He had a better season in 2019 than the best Jonathan Ogden year. And now I don't think he's better than Jonathan Ogden, but I think with the combination of the quarterback, the system, and his fit in that arena it makes him supernatural when healthy in this system. It just makes him a way better player than he would be in any other situation in front of any other quarterback. So I 100% agree. This dude is a perfect left tackle for what the Ravens want to do, and for Lamar Jackson. And to see that big, dancing, athletic bear on the outside will make me smile ear to ear. And I 100% agree. He's the second most important player behind only Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. The only one that I would give a close third to is probably Mark Andrews, because your security blanket can be in a few ways, right? Your offensive line making you feel secure, certainly, but having Mark Andrews to where Lamar can just say, "F it, I know Mark's down there somewhere. I'm chucking this thing," right? And then Mark come up with it is also quite the security blanket. But the reason that it is Stanley, and I agree with you and Don, is because obviously he plays an important position, but what it does is it avoids a domino effect. Don talked about there being no depth. What ends up happening is shuffling, right? Because if Ronnie's there, everyone else plays their natural position, and then you have McCary in to kind of plug a potential hole. But if he's not, then what you're going to take Juwan James, you're going to take Morgan, Moses, you're going to take McCary and put him in the starting line. Like, there's so many other pieces that can move around. But if Ronnie is the staple, then you can take the other four positions, and each guy can be playing at their natural position, right? And it avoids a domino effect. So it's more than just about the left tackle. It's about the rest of that line too, that I think is also crucial.
Yeah, and the overall cap number. I mean, you're talking about how much cap is now sitting in the training room. Then you got to get added cap to replace them. Tackles aren't cheap.
Right.
So it's a huge problem. Marco G
but
says,
I think if he doesn't come back, I think it ends up being McCary.
Yeah, but it could
it's not ideal.
It could be. But then, hey, what if, a guard goes down? Like, it becomes a cascading effect. Marco
exactly.
G, who's your three running backs to start the season? This is another really interesting one.
Oh, this one's easy for me.
Okay. All right. He said, also, I believe losing Hollywood helps Lamar because he isn't focused on feeding him. He can play more freely. And I think a lot of fans echo those sentiments and think that maybe
100% agree.
Yeah, maybe their relationship was so close, and it forced him to maybe get a little tunnel vision when it came to his good friend. I'm not going to buy in. I think Lamar Jackson is I think he's the type of guy that if you're open, he's getting you the ball. And maybe some of this was, a lot of people say, look, he wasn't doing it consciously. This was something.
Yeah, that's what I think.
And that could be very well the case. But as far as the running backs, Jimbo, I don't think it's so cut and dry. I know exactly where you're going with this. And I tend to agree with you. I think ultimately it's JK, it's Gus, and it's Mike Davis. And I think
Mike
Justice Hill.
Davis.
I mean, huh?
You're not going with Beatty?
Oh, Beatty. Oh, dude, Beatty's not even listed on this depth chart in front of me. That's hilarious. Yes, absolutely, Beatty. I think there's a chance they go 4, though, because I think Mike Davis is a guy who's already shown that he could, if need be a bell cow. And I think with the uncertainty behind Dobbins and Edwards' return from injury, and the fact that they're going to be operating very gently with these two guys in the sense that they're not going to want to risk any re-injury or other injuries like Justice Hill had when he came back from one, another injury happened. So I think that it's between, I think Beatty's an obvious lock, and the other, Dobbins and Edwards are obvious locks. So I think there's a shot they keep 4, but honestly, I don't see Justice Hill with the lack of impact he can make on the return game, because he's just not needed. Where does he find value? And I just don't see it. What's your thoughts on whether they keep 4 or not?
Yeah, I definitely think that there could be a possibility. We've talked about it before, where they because of the tight end room, they can go light at wide receiver most likely this year. But it also could be a contributing factor to that. Could be the running back room being relatively deep. And so, yeah, there's definitely, think about it. I kind of mentioned it, of course. Our offense revolves around 8, the offensive line, the running backs, the tight ends, and then the wide receivers. So if that's the case, you're going to dedicate the bulk of your offense to, obviously Lamar is one person, you have a backup, but then you have the offensive line, tight ends, running backs, and then wide receivers, right? So I think in a lot of other teams, if it comes down to a 5th or a 6th wide receiver or a 3rd or 4th running back, they're going to choose the wide receiver. I don't think that's the case for the Ravens.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think Mike Davis finds a way to sneak on this team, and might be needed, right? I don't think the Ravens going to be left out in the lurch again, like they were last year. So yeah, for sure. Yolanda says, so Yolanda says, what rookie are you the most excited to see this season and why? I'll tell you what, Glenn. I know a lot of people are excited to see Kyle Hamilton. I know other people are really excited to see Isaiah Likely, but I'm going to say this. This might be boring to a lot of people. I can't wait to see Tyler Linderbaum out there.
Wow.
Pulling and just, he has a little bit of Kelly Gregg in him, and I feel like he's kind of like stout and just trucking it full speed and just leveling somebody. I can't wait to see that. I also can't wait to just not be concerned about every third snap going off to Lamar's right. Do you know what I'm talking about? I swear, like, it always go off to his right every single time. So I'm really excited to see Linderbaum, because I think it will pay dividends in Lamar Jackson's confidence in games. So Tyler Linderbaum is my guy.
Yeah, I'm excited about what he brings, but I'm not the most excited to watch a center, Jimbo. I can't say that, but you're right. You nailed the other two guys, but also to some degree, Tyler Beatty's got my interest, and
that's a dark horse one, because
you never know. And also, I can't wait to see Daniel Faalele in preseason, because it's 6'8", 380, and really, I think it's more like near 400. I just got to see that guy just move people. But the guys I agree with Yolanda. I mean, what you said, Jimbo, when you let off, it's definitely Isaiah Likely, the athletic freak that he is. It's 6'4", 235. The way they're describing his movement, his athleticism, his hands. I can't wait to see this guy and what he can bring. But man, Kyle Hamilton, Jimbo's got me so hyped because of the versatility. He's going to be everywhere. People aren't going to know when he's coming. They're going to be constantly second guessing and thinking he's here. Then he's going to show up there. He's a tight end eliminator. Can't wait to watch him match up on all these incredible tight ends around the AFC. He's going to have there's a great tight end now on every AFC team. And so he's going to constantly, what's that?
Yeah, thanks to tight end U, all these guys are getting freaking good. Thanks a lot, guys.
Shout out to Charlie Kohler, who was at tight end U, I saw. And so I liked seeing that, picking up some words of wisdom from some of the greats. But yeah, I can't wait to see what Kyle Hamilton does. And the exciting part about him is we're going to see him a ton, Jimbo. And we're going to see Linderbaum a ton too. So you'll be happy. Don't worry about that. But
yeah,
I don't know how, at least in the early parts, if we'll see Isaiah Likely as much. I think we'll still see him. He's going to have a role, no doubt about it. But I think we're going to see from day one a 80 to 90, maybe even 100% snap count starter from Kyle Hamilton. So I can't wait to see what the young guys got for us.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's hard to disagree with you. But I've just been
Tell my wife that.
dying. I've been dying to get some security there at offensive line. So I'm excited to see it. There's a few other good ones in here. Let's see. I don't know if you got one off.
Well, Brandon Thompson mentioned what we talked about before the show. He mentioned Darren Waller's rankings of the tight ends, and I thought if I know it was on Twitter, Jimbo, but if you have it up, did he not have Waller? Because Brandon put in that he had Andrews at 4. I thought he had Andrews at 5.
He did have Andrews at 5.
Pitts. Yeah, Kyle Pitts at 4, right?
Yeah, he did.
And then what was it? It was Kelsey and Kittle, right? And then him at number 1, at Waller at 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Mark Andrews is the best tight end in football. Okay, let me just say that now, right off the break.
Get over it, right? Like,
yeah, like I think that those are all great tight ends. And so, and of course I'm a bit biased. I like Mark Andrews, but to me, Mark Andrews is the best tight end in football. He's going to continue to get better. Some of these guys, especially at the top end of that list, have already reached their professional peaks. And I don't think we've seen the height of Mark Andrews' game and what it will be when he's done. And he's already the All-Pro last season. So I disagree respectfully of Darren Waller, but I certainly understand him putting himself at number 1. I would do the same if I was Darren Waller. But man, I would like to see him give more love to, the Ravens since he was a former Raven.
Yeah, I mean, well, it is what it is. I think he certainly made a mistake there in putting Andrews at 5. That the one I'm frustrated with. The two I'm frustrated with are Kittle and Pitts. Pitts is really, I mean, Kittle is justified. I get it, but
But Pitts, I don't think he deserves it yet. No,
yeah, yeah. Jeez Louise. So yeah, I'm a bit frustrated by that one. Shout out to Moses Thanotis for your McChicken needs.
Man, it's been a while since we had.
Dude, that gets us halfway to the McBanger, Asmodeus. So we're getting there. So let's see here. Humphrey will not. No, let's see.
Hey, shout out to FLY Fly. I see he wanted a shout out, and so he or she appreciate the support.
Funny looking yo. That was, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that's funny looking yo. Okay.
His sister won our gift basket last year at our tailgate. Yes. Shout out to Tony Thornton and the Ravens Roost. That was an absolute blast, and hopefully we do something this year as well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Can't wait to get down to some games. Jimbo, we eventually have to plan our road game.
Yes, we do. Well, we keep getting these super chats, so we'll get to more road games.
There we go. Yeah, I can't believe I didn't put how did you put together the FLY was funny looking yo? How did you do that?
He said it in there.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm not that smart.
I was like, dang, look at he put that right together, man. Go ahead, Jimbo.
Yeah, I'll take credit, but it is what it is.
I want to get into one more thing really quickly, Jimbo. Mm-hmm. And Mark brought it up. He said, Mark says, can you see this secondary sending into a Legion of Boom type group over the coming years? We have years left on everybody's contract except for Peters, and we might extend him. I'm glad you brought this up because it kind of touches on a topic that we were surprised when we did our camp battle video and we discussed the safety position. Which was, by the way, that's a 10-part series. Safety was number 1, wide receivers number 2, but there's 8 more parts to go. So make sure you check out every episode. But we talked about that Chuck Clark's not going anywhere. Chuck Clark will be wearing the green dot. He'll be playing 90 to 100% of the snaps of every game. And so will Kyle Hamilton, and so will Marcus Williams. We looked at games last year where Brandon Stevens, Deshaun Elliott, and Chuck Clark all played 100% of the snaps before the injury to Deshaun Elliott. So it wasn't like Brandon Stevens was sitting on the sidelines and then all of a sudden he's playing 100% of the snaps because Deshaun went down. So if Deshaun and Chuck Clark and Brandon Stevens can all 3 get on the field for 100% of the plays in a game, then why can't Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Williams, and Chuck Clark do the same? Right. I think it's a no-brainer. I think they all get on the field, and I think that Brandon Stevens still sees a ton of run on the field himself, just all in a bit of a different role and more of a cornerback role. But yeah, I was surprised to see that many people saying that they thought Chuck Clark would be moved before the season.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mistakenly thought that before I really sat down and thought about it, I was reading into the hype or into the ideas, and I was like, you know what, that makes sense. But then I also thought 90% of Twitterverse doesn't make sense. So let me give this some actual thought here. And yeah, I agree with you 100% in that Chuck Clark ain't going anywhere. He's getting a ton of snaps. And the cool thing here, Glenn, is that last year I felt like even with all three of them on the field, there was some predictability, and you kind of knew where Chuck was going to be. You kind of knew what Elliott's responsibilities were going to be. You kind of knew what Brandon Stevens' responsibilities were going to be in every play, no matter how it manifested itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they kind of have differences.
Once the injuries hit, you got stuck in roles.
Right, exactly. And so with these three guys, there's some serious versatility and interchangeability.
Mm-hmm.
All of them can do everything that is called upon for them to do within their position. And so it's going to be really exciting to see the deployment of those three and the deception that the defense will be able to have. Yeah. Shout out to Lisa Ann, dude. Team Glenn all the way.
There we go.
Look, we'll take it.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm Team Glenn too. Don't worry.
My guy.
Lisa Ann. That makes two of us.
I appreciate it. But as far as the secondary, sky's the limit, right, Jimbo? Like as a group,
100%. Oh, right. To answer the question, dude, if they stay together,
crazy.
Do you think that Peters is here after this year?
I hope so. He's so beloved by the city, by his teammates, and he's still such a talented corner. And he's.
I'm going to be honest. I think we need him.
I mean, it certainly looked like it last year. And if you look, I like the young guys. I like Jaylen Armour-Davis. I like Pepe, but unique. There's not many corners as unique as Marcus Peters in a lot of ways, but certainly his skill set on the field. He's just so unique in his ability to bait the quarterback, make breaks on the ball, actually catch the ball, and then go the other way with it. It's just he's so unique. I don't think unless he shows you a massive drop off on field play, then I think you do everything you can to keep this guy in Baltimore. He just fits everything about the city.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, he's so unique and. Yeah, I hope that he stays here because I think that if you line these guys up on paper in comparison to the Legion of Boom, I think they have every bit of ability and then some to those players that were included in that Legion of Boom, right? I don't think that's sorry, man. I'm just talking on paper. It's got to come together. Yeah. But we'll hope that it comes together. Let's see. What's Johnny Bunting? I got to say here. It looks like he's got a fishing pole in his hand and a fish that he caught. All right. What are your bold will eat your microphone covers if predictions for the upcoming Ravens season? So
wow.
Yeah. This would mean that it's not gonna happen, right? Like I'll eat my microphone cover if this happens. If this happens.
That's how it was last year. Yeah.
And that I don't think it will happen. Or you could do if this doesn't happen, I will then eat my microphone cover, right? Anything you have a strong enough conviction on, Glenn, to potentially be putting your microphone cover in a smoothie.
Man. I think to give this question more justice, I'd have to sit on it for a second at least.
From the gut, dude. From the gut. What you got? Just shoot.
Well, I mean, are we talking man, that's such an open question. I could go many different directions. I would say one that I think it may surprise some people. See, I don't think it's going to surprise everyone or even a ton of people. I think Isaiah likely has a very good shot at being the third leading receiver on the team in both catches and yardage and possibly even touchdowns. I think that Isaiah likely is going to have a huge role. But the surprising thing is I also think Charlie Kohler is going to have a good year, but I just think the chunk plays will be more Isaiah likely, and maybe Charlie Kohler gets more run in the red zone because of his ability to box guys out and win those 50-50 balls, use incredible body control. But Isaiah, I think, will be the more of the chain mover and the chunk play guy, and Charlie will be more the red zone target.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. Now, I don't know if this is out on a limb or not, but if you look at their records and the Ravens' struggles with them in the past, I think it's fair to say it is. I have a strong conviction that the Ravens sweep the Steelers this year.
Oh, okay. Well, that to me isn't as big because until we know what they got at quarterback, it's not.
But record-wise, I mean
they still win.
Just saying.
Yeah, they still got a ridiculous defense. Ridiculous.
Yeah, but the biggest thing is I think that Lamar finally, not that he hasn't played well against the Steelers, but I do think that in some of those games he's struggled.
Yeah.
I think Lamar puts that to bed, and just torches them a time or two. So I'm thinking that one. I was gonna say Browns, but I don't know.
I mean, they're gonna have Jacoby Brissett. That my man, Asmodeus finishing the McBanger. Now we got, I tell you what though, I do think we have to come up with a show competition, or at least put some stakes on our existing show competition, because I'm coming for DK this year. And I'm not just gonna win our show competition. I'm going to do so in convincing fashion. And I'm going to be obnoxious and
okay. So what if you don't win? Then are you gonna eat your microphone cover?
No, I think what we could do is I recently, actually, they came in the mail today, a litany of, again, hot sauces from the Hot Ones YouTube channel. And instead of just dipping into one, I think we go through the gauntlet of all the hot sauces. That. And the losers, because there'll be two, to be you and DK, have to go through and eat all of them on camera as I quiz you, because you guys obviously would need help and need some. So I'll have flashcards, and so I think that would be fun.
I like it. I'm not mad at it. I think that would be a lot of fun, dude. Got to shout out Craig Hanzelka for being in the chat here. What's up, Craig?
Shout out. Hands picked.
Absolutely. That's hands picked. That's right, dude.
You know what I'm saying? Right. The biggest surprise cut, he says. Craig says the biggest surprise cut of the offseason. Well, I think that the chance
off-season's over, Craig.
I think he means at the end of training camp and preseason. Man, the shocking cut. Because it could be one of those things where it's like one of those Anthony Levine cuts where he got cut, but then he was brought back a week later. Do we count that as the cuts? I mean, I think it's still surprising.
No, I wouldn't count that. Like, I think a surprising one. What if the Ravens decide to part ways with the James Prochet? What if he what if he dramatically underperforms in training camp, right? That would be a surprise.
Yeah. I don't think Justice Hill would surprise anyone.
No.
Jawan James, they say $3 million. I don't know if that's a surprise or if that,
I would have said Nick Boyle, but I think he already restructured his contract, if I'm not mistaken.
You're right, recently. So I don't think they do that unless they plan on him being here. By the way, somebody in the comments was shouting out Ricky Person Jr. as a guy who's going to shock the team. And he's a running back. So if he is, he's got to jump. Man, he's got to leapfrog a lot of guys at the running back position, including a guy we haven't even brought up, and Nate McCrary, who was, at least has some extra experience than what Ricky does. So, hey, more power to him. If he can jump and leapfrog all those guys, then he must be doing something. But as far as that goes, the shocking one, man, I think we got to wait till we get a little bit closer. To even bring up maybe Michael Pierce. Can they get out from under that? I'm just wondering about with the absence. I don't know what's going on there. But we'll certainly have our predictions when it comes down to
maybe a Broderick Washington. Like, that would be surprising because of his age, and like people have said good things about him, and maybe once again he doesn't do well, and they have some depth there.
That would be
going to be hard.
Shocking.
Yeah, certainly. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. No, we'll get back to you.
Tony Jefferson's not. I don't think that'd be the biggest surprise. So, Asmodeus says winner of the competition gets a week of McBangers. That might be the loser of the competition has to eat a week of McBangers because of the devastation that would cause on your intestines.
Crack my toilet, dude.
Yeah, like you better have the Angel Soft and the wet wipes available that week because holy smokes, that I haven't had McDonald's in. It's had to be every bit of 5-6 years. It would be devastating if I ate it. I would, oh man, but I'd be willing to do it for the show. Absolutely.
You did do it for the show, huh?
Yeah, man.
Let's see. We'll
get you a fillet of fish, Jimbo.
Still fish.
Oh shoot. Dang it.
I'll do a veggie burgers with one of the soy chickens in the middle. How about that?
The soy chickens.
It's just soy, but it tastes like chicken sandwich. Yeah.
Okay.
It certainly wouldn't be as devastating as the original proposition. Let's see. Thoughts on playing Buffalo this season? I'm going to tell you right now, Glenn. First of all, I'm sick. Come get at me, Bills Mafia, because I loved you guys for a long time. What you guys did to Lamar, I thought was very classy.
They've always been, top of the line.
I've only run into obnoxious Bills fans this offseason that are so excited to come to Baltimore to put the beating on the Ravens, who think that Josh Allen is Jesus in cleats. Let me tell you what, ladies and gentlemen.
Let them know.
It ain't happening. The Baltimore Ravens are winning this game by 7 or more. Book it. Book it. That might be my strong declaration because, look, the Coach ain't losing in primetime in the – well, no, it's not primetime, but Coach ain't losing to the Bills in the bank. All right? It's just not happening. Lamar Jackson is not losing to his counterpart in the draft. I think, it's early enough in the season where health hopefully won't be a big of an issue. So,
when do they play them? Is it early?
I think it's in the first half of the season. Let me get you the exact – I think it's October 2nd.
I agree with you 100% because teams aren't building to beat the Ravens still. They still ain't doing it. Okay, so they ain't going to be ready when that train comes to town and punches them right in the mouth. Of course, I guess they'll be visiting us.
October 2nd, yeah.
October 2nd. So that's early on. So hopefully our guys are back to 100% and still, they kind of avoid that injury bug. Yeah, I agree. I think that is a team that, certainly top 3 in the AFC and right now is being picked as the best overall roster in the AFC. And you got to give their GM credit. They built a hell of a roster, but the bottom line is when they come to Baltimore, they're going to be having a long road all the way back home with sitting on an L because they're just not – teams just aren't ready for that run attack, man. And look, last year was a blip on the radar with the injuries. It ain't going to be that way this year. It's going to be back to smash mouth, play action off of it, and good luck stopping this Ravens offense. And then you got that defense that's just built to suffocate you once they have a lead. And so I cannot wait for those big-time games because, look, there's not a ton of prime time. So we'll take advantage of any big matchups that we can get.
Yeah, 100%. Just to add to that, I mean, think about it. When it comes to that game, it's all about matchups. Everyone talks about it's all about matchups, right? You think about the Ravens secondary against that passing attack. That's strength against strength, right?
Yep.
I don't, like you said, I don't know if they have the ability to stop our rushing attack. I don't really know who does when we're healthy. So being at home, it's funny because the Bills fans, unfortunately, so they've been some of my favorite fans, like awesome, dedicated, love it, super. I have a ton of respect for them going out those games when it's super cold, the tables, all that stuff. But I feel like, do you remember when we went to that Chiefs game and the Chiefs would make big plays and there was those fans that were sitting in front of us, they were Chiefs fans, and they were like, I expect this, no big deal. Like they were so like, Mahomes just threw it for 60 yards, just another day in the neighborhood. Like, so spoiled. It's like, guys, you realize this is a gift that you have this team. And I feel like the Bills are starting to me, they're giving off that vibe a little bit like, Josh Allen just threw for 80, ran for 2 touchdowns and threw 2 touchdowns. No biggie. It's just another week. Like, hold on a second. You know what I mean? Like, it's an opportunity, you guys here to
they haven't won anything yet.
No, you're right. And they're already, I feel like, starting to get that vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, all I know is if I was a Bills fan, it'd be hard for me to poke my chest out in the sense that they got to know, look, if Tom Brady was still there, he'd still be bending you over his knee and spanking your bare ass. That's just the bottom line to the whole matter is that if Tom Brady was still there, he'd be more worried about Baltimore than he would Buffalo. And there's just no doubt about that in my mind. So, everyone in that division should count themselves lucky that he decided to take his talents to Florida like LeBron once did, because it would be beat down after beat down, just like it's always been when he was in that division, just reigning supreme. But I can't wait for that big matchup because Josh Allen still has a propensity to throw it to the wrong team. He still throws errant passes, and I think with this secondary, they'll be ready and waiting, and so I can't wait.
He led the league last year in dropped interceptions at 21.
That ain't going to happen this year, Jimbo. You can't get that lucky twice.
Yeah. So It's going to be real interesting to see what happens to old Josh Allen, Mr. Wyoming himself. All right, Glenn, what else we got? We calling this thing a night?
Yeah, I think that's going to be it. But guys, we will be back soon. Again, there's going to be another video dropping tonight on the wide receiver battle heading into camp. 12 guys competing for not 12 positions, that's for sure. So make sure you guys check that out. But again, that's only part 2 of a 10-part camp battle, camp positional battle that we'll be releasing up as we approach training camp. And then a bunch of exciting stuff, obviously, once training camp comes. Once training camp comes. But I want to give some shout outs.
Really quickly before you do, though, Glenn. Sorry, before you do. One thing I want to mention is the really cool thing about this show, guys, is you have this is the best opportunity that as a viewer, you get to control the content that is created. So if you liked the Ask Us Anything live format, let us know. We need your guys' feedback in the comments, not in the chat here, because this will go away. In the comments to this video or at us on Twitter, whatever. Let us know if you liked it, because we will do it more. It's that simple. That you don't have that opportunity, of course, with every show. You just kind of are subject to whatever they decide is good. But please let us know, because we want to give you guys what you want. At the end of the day, it's always been, always will be about you guys. So I just wanted to say that. Make sure you let us know and communicate that. Yeah, no doubt. Absolutely. It's these are our favorite shows, no doubt about it. Don C, appreciate the continued support. Hyping up the likes in the comment section. I appreciate it. Adam Whittington. Josh Allen ain't won nothing. Shout out to Lisa Ann. Appreciate your continued support. Billy Seals. Hit the like button on your way out, everybody. No doubt. Prince Quan. We got something for you, Prince Quan. We got something special as we sign off. Brandon Thompson, appreciate the love. Tanja Bowman. They got, I tell you what, though, that division, the Bills division is starting to get a lot better. Definitely, at least in Miami. We'll see what the Jets look like as they continue to try and claw out of irrelevancy. Appreciate Boyce Evans, Asmodeus. It's been too long, so I appreciate you coming back out, making your presence felt. Dawson, I think is it Buelak? Hope I didn't butcher it too bad, but I appreciate you coming out, Dawson. If I didn't say your name, I'm sorry. If you're a silent observer, appreciate you watching, appreciate your support. Please hit the like button, and we will be back soon. All right, Glenn, you got it in you?